fast, where truth moves faster than a Holstein calf. No waiting on some pretty page. We're charting new ground in the digital age. From genomic codes to row-wide facts, we cut through the noise, no holding back. Not your daddy's dairy news tonight. We're sparking debates with every insight. The ring's not where the real fight's at. It's in the data, in the channel chat. From pasture to processor to your morning cup, we're raising the stakes. Try and get ahead of herd. Yeah! Where the future's more than just a word. Ahead of herd. Come on! The bullvine's calling, let your voice be heard.
Hey there, dairy enthusiasts. Welcome back to the Bullvine Podcast. I'm your host, and today I've got something really special for you, especially if you're just getting started in dairy showing, or if you've ever wondered what separates the champions from the also-rans in the judging ring. You know, I was at World Dairy Expo last year, watching this incredible class of senior 2-year-olds, and I noticed something fascinating. There was this one judge who seemed to know exactly what they were looking for from the moment those animals walked into the ring. While other people were still trying to figure out which cow was which, this judge was already taking notes, already analyzing, already building their placing in their mind. That got me thinking, what separates a great judge from someone who's just guessing? And more importantly, how can you develop that same judge's eye? Whether you're competing in 4-H, FFA, or just trying to make better breeding decisions on your family's farm. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how the best judges think, how they approach each class systematically, and how you can develop these same skills. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you're going to look at cattle completely differently. The big picture, it's not magic, it's method. Let me start with something that might surprise you. The best judges I know, they're not born with some magical ability to spot the perfect cow. What they have is something much more powerful, a system, a repeatable, consistent process that they follow every single time. Think about it like this. You know how your family has a specific routine for milking? Same order, same steps, same attention to detail every time. That's because consistency produces results. Well, judging cattle works exactly the same way. I remember talking to this veteran judge, let's call him Jim, and he told me something that completely changed how I think about evaluation. He said, most people think judging is about finding the perfect cow, but really, it's about having a perfect process. That blew my mind because it meant that anyone, and I mean anyone, could learn to judge well if they were willing to commit to a systematic approach. The PDCA scorecard, your foundation now. Before we dive into the actual process, let's talk about your foundation, the PDCA scorecard. This isn't just some boring document. This is literally your roadmap to understanding what matters most in a dairy cow. Here's how it breaks down, and I want you to really think about these percentages. Udder, 40%. Dairy strength, 25%. Feet and legs, 20%. Frame, 15%. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most beginning judges get completely hung up on things like a slightly imperfect top line, or whether a cow's tail setting is perfect. But look at those numbers again. Frame, which includes a lot of those cosmetic details, is only 15% of the total score. I used to make this mistake too. I'd see a cow with a beautiful head and neck and get all excited, completely missing the fact that her udder was hanging halfway to the ground. The industry has actually distilled all of this into one powerful phrase that every great judge lives by. Good uddered dairy cows with functional feet and legs. Let me say that again, because it's that important. Good uddered dairy cows with functional feet and legs. If you remember nothing else from today's episode, remember that phrase. It's going to save you from making costly mistakes, whether you're judging a class or picking your next heifer to keep. The process. How champions think. All right, now let's get into the real meat of this. I'm going to walk you through exactly how elite judges approach a class, step by step. And here's the cool part. You can start using this system tomorrow. Step 1, the distant view. Picture this. A prosody rate 7. The class walks into the ring and everyone around you immediately starts moving in close to get a better look. But you stay back about 20 to 25 feet and just watch. This is where the magic starts happening. From this distance, you can see things that become invisible when you're up close. You can see the overall balance of each animal, how they move, their general style and presence. I like to think of it like stepping back to look at a painting. When you're too close, all you see are brushstrokes. But when you step back, you see the whole picture. During this phase, I'm already starting to mentally sort the animals. I'm thinking, okay, that red and white cow has really impressive stature and balance. That black one over there moves beautifully. And that one on the end. Something's not quite right with her udder. This initial scan is crucial because it prevents you from getting lost in minor details later on. Step 2, the 3-point priority system. Now comes the systematic part. As I move in for a closer look, I evaluate every single animal using the same sequence. And here's the key. I do this in order of the scorecard priorities. Priority 1, udder evaluation. For mature cows, I start with the udder every single time, and I use this simple framework. Rear udder, ligament, teats. Any drama? Let me break that down. How's her rear udder attachment? Is it high and wide? What about her suspensory ligament? Can I see a clear definition down the middle? Are her teats well placed and the right size? Any drama? Meaning, any major faults or exceptional qualities that jump out? At this stage, I'm making simple yes or no decisions. Is this a good udder? Would I like to find better? Can I live with this udder? It's just like when you're checking fresh cows after calving. You quickly sort them into watch closely, monitor, or no concerns based on what you see. Priority 2, dairy strength. Next, I assess dairy strength with another framework. Does she have a big rib? Has she got a wide chest? Is she clean? This is where I'm looking for evidence that this cow is built to convert feed into milk efficiently, not into excess body fat. I want to see wide-spaced ribs that are flat and deep, good width through the chest, overall cleanliness, and angularity. Think about the most productive cows in your herd. They probably have that lean, angular look that just screams milk cow. Priority 3, feet and legs. Finally, I evaluate mobility with this question. Hocks, feet. Can she walk? Here's something really important that a lot of people miss. Perfect conformation in the legs isn't as critical as functional soundness. A cow can have one fault in her legs and still be considered good-legged if she can move comfortably and confidently. It's like your milking system. It doesn't have to be perfect in every detail, but it absolutely has to deliver on the basics of hygiene and vacuum stability. Step 3, making comparisons. After I've evaluated each animal individually, I start making direct comparisons. Here's a strategy that really works. First, identify the animals at the extremes, the clear winner and the obvious last place. This simplifies your job because now you only have to figure out the middle placings. When I'm comparing animals head to head, I'm constantly weighing their strengths and weaknesses against those scorecard priorities. For example, if one cow has a superior udder, but the other has better feet and legs, I have to decide which difference is more significant based on the point allocations. The art of note-taking. Now, here's something that might surprise you. The best judges are incredible note-takers, and I'm not talking about just jotting down a few words. I'm talking about systematic, detailed documentation that happens while they're still in the ring. I use a 2-column system, HAGCOL, On the left side of my notebook, I write descriptive notes about each individual animal. On the right side, I write comparative notes explaining why one animal places over another. This isn't just about memory, though that's important when you have to give oral reasons. It's actually part of the analytical process. When you force yourself to write down what you're seeing, you're also forcing yourself to think more clearly about your decisions. And here's a pro tip. Develop your own shorthand system. In judging contests, time is limited, so you need to capture information quickly and efficiently. Judging heifers, a different game. Now let's talk about heifers, because this is where a lot of people get confused. Since heifers haven't developed their udders yet, you can't use the same approach as with mature cows. Instead, I use this framework. Correct, clean, and open heifers who are big enough. Let me explain each part. Correct. This means structurally sound, especially in the frame and feet and legs. Without correct structure, nothing else matters because the animal won't hold up over time. Clean. This refers to dairy character, that lean, angular look that suggests the heifer will channel nutrients into milk production rather than body fat. Open. This means openness of rib and overall capacity. You want to see evidence that she'll be able to consume and process large amounts of feed. Big enough. This is about appropriate size for her age. But here's where it gets interesting. The industry has what's called the peanut rule. If a heifer is just slightly smaller than her competition, but superior in quality, that small size difference shouldn't hurt her much. But if she looks like she belongs in a whole different age class, then size becomes a real limiting factor. This makes sense when you think about it practically. A small heifer might milk well, but she's going to struggle to compete at the feed bunk with much larger herd mates. The 2025 updates, what's changed? Before I move on, let me quickly update you on some important changes that took effect in March 2025. The PDCA made several significant updates to their scorecard and guidelines. Most importantly, they equalized the points for fore udder and rear udder at 7 points each. This is huge because it means both attachment systems are now considered equally important for long-term udder health. They also renamed the rear feet and legs category to just feet and legs, which suggests a more holistic view of mobility. For showmanship, they increased penalties for things like sidestepping while leading and failure to set up your animal promptly. The message is clear. Professionalism matters more than ever. Building transferable skills. Here's something I find really exciting about learning to judge dairy cattle. The skills you develop extend way beyond the show ring. When you learn to observe systematically, prioritize based on impact, and make confident decisions with incomplete information, you're developing abilities that will serve you in every aspect of life. I know successful judging team alumni who are now leading genetic companies, managing banks, running veterinary practices, and yes, operating incredibly successful dairy farms. The systematic thinking they learned through judging became their template for approaching complex decisions throughout their careers. Integrating modern technology. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Some people think that with all our genomic tools and performance data, visual evaluation is becoming obsolete. That's completely wrong. The best operations I visit use both genomic data and systematic visual assessment. They recognize that genomics tell you about genetic potential, but visual evaluation tells you about structural soundness, udder support, and mobility, things that directly impact whether that genetic potential ever gets realized. I know one producer who puts it perfectly. You can have a genomic superstar on paper, but if her feet and legs can't carry her through multiple lactations, those genetic values never materialize into actual performance. The future isn't about choosing between genomics and visual evaluation. It's about integrating both tools for maximum impact. Getting started, your action plan. All right, so how do you actually start developing these skills? Here's your roadmap. First, start practicing the systematic approach I've outlined. Every time you look at cattle, whether it's at a show, on your farm, or even in pictures, force yourself to follow the same sequence: distant view, udder, dairy strength. Feet and legs, then comparisons. Second, get involved in organized judging opportunities. Join your local 4-H or FFA dairy judging team. Attend judging contests. The more you practice under pressure, the better you'll become. Third, seek out feedback. Find experienced judges who are willing to mentor you. Ask questions. Learn from your mistakes. And finally, stay current with industry changes. The dairy industry is constantly evolving, and judging standards evolve with it. Taking action today. Let me leave you with a challenge. After this episode, I want you to audit your current approach to evaluating cattle. Whether you're selecting heifers to keep, making breeding decisions, or just trying to improve your judging skills, ask yourself, are you truly prioritizing the most economically valuable traits, or have you fallen into the trap of chasing cosmetic ideals that have minimal impact on profitability? Are your evaluation criteria building a herd designed for longevity and efficiency, or just for looking good on paper? Identify one area where your evaluation process could be more systematic and deliberate. Maybe it's implementing better note-taking during herd walks, or developing a more structured approach to heifer selection, or establishing clearer priorities for mating decisions. The point is this: by committing to a systematic approach to evaluation, you're not just building skills for the show ring. You're developing a mindset that will drive success across your entire operation. Wrapping up, at the beginning of this episode, I told you about that judge at World Dairy Expo who seemed to have everything figured out from the moment the class walked in. Now you know their secret. It wasn't magic, it was method. The judge's eye isn't some mystical gift. It's a learnable skill based on systematic observation, clear priorities, and consistent process. And the best part? You can start developing it today. Whether you're 14 years old showing your first heifer at the county fair, or you're 40 years old trying to make better breeding decisions for your herd, these principles will serve you well. Remember that phrase I taught you earlier: good uddered dairy cows with functional feet and legs. That's your North Star. That's what separates the winners from the rest. Thanks for tuning in to the Bullvine Podcast. If this episode helped you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your judging experiences, your questions, or your success stories with us. And remember, whether you're in the colored shavings of the show ring or walking through your barn making selection decisions, you're looking for the same thing: cows built to produce, reproduce, and endure. Until next time, keep evaluating, keep learning, and keep pushing the industry forward. That's a wrap on today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bullvine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and visit us at thebullvine.com for more industry insights and analysis.